Welcome to another EP of It's Beauty Binge. We are so excited for our guest today. I have wanted her on for a very long time. This is Jessica Gunn, but I call her Jess. She is absolutely incredible. We met actually just as we were both getting divorced. And so I felt like connected to her instantly just because of what we were experiencing and going through. And she's just a powerhouse. So she's extremely successful. She's everything I wanted to achieve and be from a financial standpoint, as well as an impact standpoint, because she blesses so many lives. And so welcome. We're so excited to have you.
It was so nice of you. I always feel like we need to do more of these because you feel so good about yourself. You're like, oh, that's great. Someone thinks that about me.
Well, yeah, of course.
And we don't see we don't see ourselves the same way that other people see, because that's how I feel about you guys. So
yeah.
It's great.
So we're so happy that you're here, and we are going to bless your lives. I just know it with the information we're going to talk about. So Jess is huge into the fitness space. So tell everyone kind of exactly what you do.
That's a great question. And again, I appreciate being here. It's so fun to talk about these things that can help women feel better, right? Like we've all been there, especially as we age, we have kids, we're working, we're single, we go through these pretty impactful life events. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you feel like you're very isolated. It's just you. And that's what I struggled with right through my 30s after 4 kids. I didn't have any experiencing exercise, eating, nothing. It was we've talked about this. I could win the award for the wimpiest person alive. But it wasn't until I felt crappy. It was I don't like how I interact with my kids. It's when my husband at the time would say you seem really, irritable. Are you okay? And I'm like, are you kidding? That makes you more mad because the mom guilt is so bad. Yeah. Cause it's I know, but I don't know how to change, and it must just be me. Yep. So that's where I just YouTubed and dug around and figured out okay, sugar was making me so irritable. So I really reduced sugar and I was a whole different person. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what shifted me. And so because I started feeling better, right? Cause honestly, it's more of in the past, it was always, I want to lose weight. Right? I want to get back to the scale to be where it was, because I would be nicer and less irritable if the scale was a certain number. That's what I kept thinking. And I realized my kids and no one else will ever remember what the scale says. They're not going to sit at our family reunion in 20 years and be like, do you remember mom weighed 140 versus 150, right? But that's how we see it. Yeah. But what they were going to say is, do you remember how mom was always so irritable? Mom was really cranky at night. And that haunted me. I realized they're going to remember how I make them feel. Mm-hmm. And so I'm oh, no. That was enough for my why. This is not how I want them to remember, because I love being a mom. Yeah. And so I shifted. And so it was I started feeling better, and I thought I have to help every other one feel better. And then the byproduct of feeling better is you move more, you make healthier food choices. And so fast forward, that was in 2017. I started eating better. I started lifting in 2018, got certified as a personal trainer. Just I'm I've got to help everybody else feel better. And then I fell in love with strength training, because having not ever exercised, it was like a kid in a candy store. And I'm oh my gosh, do you think I can do that?
Right.
Oh yeah. So yeah, from there, I started Instagram account, and it kind of blew up. And so now I'm very blessed to be able to help. I have a worldwide app where I help women understand the shift in how we view things. Because everyone talks about your mindset, but it really is the core of everything. And so that's where I feel I relate, and then helping them to be able to find and build the strongest, healthiest version of them. And so between just helping women, I think, look in the mirror and see things that they can accomplish, and not how we tend to pick ourselves apart. So it's been great. And now, because I've built this big business, I now have just pivoted. I'm launching in January. I'm helping other coaches. And honestly, this can be anyone that has an Instagram account that they sell anything, but I just finished the beta testing, and I'm launching products to help other women build businesses and grow, and understand how Instagram works, so that they can then in turn help other people. So
I love that.
It's kind of been fun from one feeling crappy moment to I've got to change this.
Right.
I never thought we'd be
it's
here.
A business for you.
Yeah, how did this happen?
Great.
And this wasn't that long ago.
No.
Either. That's just a few
We're talking
short years ago, and your life has completely changed. And what I love most about what you talk about on social is this philosophy of women being strong, strength training versus cardio, right? So many times women think they need to go run 100 miles to lose weight and to get that look, and that's not it. And so I share the same belief as you.
Yes.
It's we don't need any cardio. at all, unless it's something you enjoy. But to acquire a certain look, we don't need that. And strength training will completely transform your body.
But what about the inside? I like to push.
I think it's great.
What about your heart? What about your lungs? Because I do think, for me, my thought process is you need a balance of both. Like you need a little bit of cardio to work your heart, work your lungs. So for me, it's such, it helps my mental health so much. When I run, I get all my good ideas. So now, I need to add in more strength training, but I love.
So this is how, when I coach people, because this is a question we get often, is like, Jess, what do I do? And you get this, like you've coached too. And it's like, for one, obviously everybody's goals. But I always like to say, okay, right now, this is your goal, right? But in 15, 20, 25 years, our only goal, honestly, is to be able to get off the toilet without crying or asking for help, right?
I know, right?
It's like all those things.
Terrible.
I'm like looking at everyone I know who's 20 years older. I'm like, that's not going to be me. So I always have to, like, our coach, like I have to look long-term and say, okay, trust me, we'll hit all the points, but I need to get you where I want you to be years from now. And we work backwards, right?
Yeah.
So strength train minimum 3 times a week, because with strength training, right, you at least can hit most of the major body parts, but that will set you up for success so many years later, because ultimately it's the shape of the body people are, really worried about. Like I understand wanting to lose body fat, but at the end of that, when I ask someone, hey, we're in 6 months, like, how do you want to feel, move, and look? And then describe it. They always describe someone with muscle and that can do hard things and feels confident. And I'm like, that's not going to come from hours of cardio and eating as little as possible.
Yeah.
It's from lifting weights.
Yeah.
So prioritize 3 times a week strength training. And then I always tell people minimum 7,000 steps a day for walking, because ultimately what controls body fat loss is our eating and our daily steps, right? And I like to separate the two. They're very big. Exercise and nutrition do very different things. Together, they're combined. Do not use exercise as a means for fat loss, because then when you're eating crappy, you stop exercising, right? There's so many bad correlations between them. And so as long as you're working on your steps and you've got strength training, then I'm like, cardio is for fun. So it does not need to be there. It is important for heart health, especially. So, walking will help with that. But if you enjoy it and for mental health, do it, but don't make it the priority. Because we talk about balance, but there really isn't balance. There's prioritization. And so as long as strength training is prioritized, have fun with your cardio, right? As long as it's a balanced amount throughout the week within, the hours you do.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be this intense, because you don't have to be like an athlete or a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
It for like health, you can get a great workout in 30 to 45 minutes if no talking in between that. But
Right. And you're pushing.
Yeah. It's about it's finding failure. It's finding the right weight for you, that you get the most gain. So as long as you're finding those things, 30 to 45 minutes is great. And then I'm not running. I don't like to run. But if you do, how about it?
I love it. But no, our bodies change as we get older, and you can't, I'm feeling that. You can't do what you can do when you're a teenager, even in your 20s.
Right.
Like I could get up, run for an hour, clean my house in an hour, and I'm like good for the day. And it's like, I can't do that anymore. What the heck? My mind wants to, but my body is like, can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
Yeah. And so what are your thoughts on this? Is this a myth or not? This thought process females have that lifting weights and gaining muscle will make you look big. Or they like to use the words fat, and I don't like that word. Bulky, big, overweight, whatever. What are your thoughts on that?
Because, you have to think, I think we've been ingrained for so many years because we've watched our moms do hours of cardio, and it's like the stick thin Calvin Klein models. And we've gone through this period, and I remember waking up and being like, oh, I didn't eat breakfast. I'm gonna get skinnier. I was proud of myself from missing meals because I didn't get how it worked. And I never, like in a billion years, did it ever enter my head that I'd ever lift weights, because in my head, that was like what athletes do, or I would picture like bodybuilders or cool people, not stay-at-home moms. I just didn't equate that with anything that I could do. And obviously was sorely mistaken and wish I would have started, years earlier. But to the bulky factor of, the one thing I always want to say is like, I wish it were that easy. It is so freaking hard to build muscle.
Yeah.
Oh my!
And so when I get a woman that says, "Yes," I'm like, I would have a bigger butt or legs if it was this easy. Like, and I eat in a surplus. Like, I do creatine, I do supplements. Like, I do everything, and it's still like this is it.
Yeah.
And it's your body type, right? There's 3 different body types. And depending on if you're in failure and your nutrition and supplements and sleep and stress, and there's a lot of factors. But I'll tell you the one thing of all that we as women feel like we put on ourselves to worry about and stress about, getting bulky is not what you need to worry about. So like I'm always say, alleviate that. There's other things you can worry about,
Right.
but it's so hard. But the beautiful thing is you control it. It's like with your, bear with me because I'm an analogy person. Like with hair, like I have super, super tight curly hair. I blow it all out because it gets so big.
Yeah.
Depending on my own factors of like what kind of gel I use or if it's humid, I can control how big it is or how small it is. And it's the same with our bodies. Like you control by how many calories you eat, the type of program you follow, how heavy you go. You get to control, which is the cool part. It's a sculpting. So if you want a bigger arm or butt or quads, you put the time in and you follow a plan to get there and you get to control like, hey, I'm happy with how large it is now. I'm happy with how strong I am now. You can stay and play there and you kind of flow. But I don't think women realize that you don't wake up big or bulky.
No.
I would kill for that. I'd be a billionaire if I could guarantee
I know,
that.
Right? Well, and a lot of the girls with that look as well, they're on something.
Yes.
They're taking something.
Yes.
So just know like these, like the CrossFit, the bigger, muscular females you're seeing or
yeah, there's definitely some that
they're taking something.
Mm-hmm.
They don't just naturally.
Or even with, I
to that.
feel like the BBLs, like, girls are like, buy my squat program. And it's like, you got a fake butt.
Yeah, that's so misleading. It's like false advertising of, and that's why I tell people like, it's just, you have to build the strongest version of you. And that's the beauty of this. Like, yes, there are enhancements, there's things you can do. I've never messed with anything. I'm all natural. So I don't know too much about that, but it's controllable. It's how often you do it. And so there are certain body types, mesomorph, that do put on muscle a little bit faster,
right?
Which I can't fathom because that sounds amazing. But you still control it, right? You just adjust your cardio, you adjust the type of training you do, you adjust your carbs. But on the most part, like I think the benefits of strength training far outweigh any reason that somebody wouldn't do it, working on injuries or whatnot.
There's a lot of things in life, I think, that can have an effect on our health, like what we went through. So when I went through my divorce, a lot of people don't eat. I decided to eat. I was literally looking back at pictures of myself. I was like, oh, this was
You're like, I know what year this was.
This was not
mechanism.
It scared me a little, right? Anyways, and so we all process, different emotions differently and handle things differently. I chose to eat. I also do believe we can hold on to weight because of emotion. Emotion can get stuck and trapped in our bodies, right? I mean, you've been through something similar to me, right? We're both single moms now. And like the pressure and the stress of being a single mom it's a lot.
I wasn't prepared. I'm not going to lie. And I'm a strong personality. I thought I could handle the day-to-day or the house. I'm not even talking emotion, but like the physicality and running a business. And it is way more than I thought.
It
so
is.
Props. We need a support group.
I know we do. And any of you out there who like are going through the same thing, it's like, how do I keep a healthy, fit body, right? How do I stay on top of my eating, my sleep, my steps, taking care of kids when I have them, financial, right?
You know what
like
killed me is
responsibility
yard work.
now.
Because my son left. He doesn't live with me anymore. And it's so sad. They're like all grown up now. It's yard work. It's like when the snowblower doesn't work and I'm like, I have to hand shovel this. Like, because ultimately it stops on you.
I moved
and so
into an HOA.
For that is my problem. I remember a moment. It was like 9:30. You have those pivotal moments, like 9:30 at night, and the grass was so long. Like it was the very first time I had to do it by myself. So this is like the frazzled state. And I was talking to a guy on the phone, and he cuts people's lawns all the time. And so he's like, okay, so you need to do it. You've let it go long. Like, how long do you think? Because he's asking me how to gauge it. So I went and got a measuring stick. It was 11 inches. He's like, are you kidding? And I'm like, I've chosen to just close my blinds and ignore it. And you're in such an emotional, like everything. You're figuring out your identity and all the new things. And so I had to go over and over, and it kept clogging. So I had to start over. So by now it's like 9:30 at night, and I'm holding my phone flashlight, and I was determined to get this dang lawn mown. But it was like, I stood there and I bawled the last 5 minutes, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my life. But then you have a choice, right? And it was like, I chose this.
Yep.
I will figure it out. And you have to choose that these things are going to make you stronger because they can be very debilitating.
You might have
Just
to get
let
rid
it
of
out.
some things too. Like, what can you let go of and prioritize?
I know.
What's
I
most
know,
important.
right?
Yeah.
Which is so hard for people, I think, overachievers like us, right? It's like, oh, I can't.
Yes.
Because
Because I want to do it all. I do. Yeah.
But like for me, clearly looking back, I let my fitness go for, what was that? I'd say almost a year. How am I going to make money?
Yeah.
You know, and I started 3 different jobs and none of them seemed to align with me. And so it was like, what am I going to do? And it just took me such a long time to navigate my path to the new life. And then I was blessed to meet Tiff and become a partner. And so, yeah, what is your advice, right, for anyone going through something, whatever that is that they could be going through, to be able to get in the gym?
Yeah.
Right? Or to have
stay.
some little thing to keep them on track.
Because when you're starting over with anything, like I always like to point out, I love what you said, like it took you a couple times to figure out where you're meant to be. And none of those are failures. It's like the funnel system of figuring out, do I want to do this or do I want to do this? And you only know where you're meant to be because you know where you're not meant to be. Right. And so I love that. I'm glad you said that because I think that's something that people, I don't know, I failed at this. I'm like, no, you didn't fail at anything. It's what propels you to be where you're meant to be.
Right.
And life is hard. We all know that. I mean, it's hard showing up as a mom, period. Some people don't feel natural as a mom. We deal with anxiety or depression, or it's overwhelming, or single mom, or not supportive, spouse, or children that have, things that we're struggling with. And it's hard on your heart. It's heavy. There's so many things. And we have health issues and family issues, and we could go on forever, right?
Right.
And so I think there's a lot we put on ourselves, period. And so look at things, you have to have something where you're refilling your own cup. Because I think we look at either partners or spouses or parents or jobs or other things to fill that. But like, I have to stop back and say, like, what are 1 or 2 of the 3 of the non-negotiables that I'll show up my best every day for when you're going through whatever it is? Because it could be an ailing parent, right? Whatever. Right. And for me, like movement. I mean, oh my gosh, like the eating was so hard at that point also because it's a comfort. And it's also something that one of the only things I could control. And so I was the same going through that. And if we can just, it's like a manageable amount of like, instead of doing all the things, because we tend to be like perfectionistic, all or nothing, that I call them wash days or weeks or months sometimes, to where when we have divorces or sick kids or all the ups and downs emotionally, we're just not there, right? I call those wash weeks, to where you just show up. It's like with a job, right? You have so many hours, maybe you get 2 weeks off a year that are paid vacation. And you're guilt-free paid vacation. That's what it is for us. Like it's a wash week. So like when I have a day that just is survival, I mentally cannot do it, or physically I'm just everywhere, then I'm like, okay, that was like a wash day. I don't let myself stay there because I know long-term, like you looking back, you're like, crap, I wish I would have valued eating a little bit better because I would have known I would have felt better, right? I wish I would have exercised a little more because I would have felt better, because that's what I kept saying. And so when you have those wash days, that's a different mentality to say, hey, that was done. That does impact me. I'm over it. And don't give yourself 2 seconds the next day to worry about what I didn't do. And you have to give yourself grace, right? Because we're in this for the long term. And so when we go through these horrible things, for me, what filled my own little cup just a little bit is either maybe running. I know that you enjoy. Some people like crafting. Some people it's friend time. But if we can choose things that will make us feel better health-wise, at least one as an outlet. And so it may be finding healthier recipes if you enjoy to cook, like looking how I can nourish my body, because we tend to go to sugar because that's very comforting, right?
Right.
Your body's craving, right? All the hormone hits, and movement is where I would suggest. And so that's something that we can control a little bit easier. And so walking, as I got it all out there, then I was like, I can tackle the rest of the day.
Right.
Instead of viewing it as like, oh, I don't want to go work out because I got to lose weight. Like I got to get there. I'm going to feel bad if I don't. Like spin how you see it, right? Redefine the story we tell ourselves of like, I need to do something hard. And if I can do that, even if it's 10 minutes, just show up to your home gym or your gym. Just show up, get 10 minutes in, and you're going to feel like you accomplished something, and then you're going to feel rest the whole day better. I do think with health, though, you have to have like a one non-negotiable. It's like you may not hit your protein and your water and walking and lifting and rolling out after and deep breathing and whatever it is we do. And so like the night before, just think, or the morning of, or in a moment, like what would give you the most value today, and show up for yourself with one thing only. And then you're going to be like, okay, tomorrow maybe I can do 2, or even just like not hit my water goal, but like half my water. Right.
Right.
And you feel like you just feel better when you're accomplishing something instead of just, I'm failing at everything.
For sure.
Because that could be really easy as women, I think.
Right. Well, and then when you accomplish one little thing, those stack, right? And then they build on our self-esteem. and who we are as a person. And like the gym now, right? For us in running, it's just who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Like even during that year, I'd show up to the gym every day, right? I just clearly was letting the food side go, right?
It's the best you could do then.
Yeah,
I get it. It's such a bad phase.
Absolutely, right? But then it became empowering. Like I remember, what did I have to do? I had to screw something into the wall, and then I had to paint, and I was like, I know I got to get the mud, the tackle mud, to like fill in a hole. Yes. Then I know I got to sand it, and then I know I got to paint. And I was like, I'm going to figure this out. And I remember like figuring just these little things out that we take for granted from our man, you know, so thank you men out there from all the women.
It is, we appreciated it so
right?
much.
Like it's so, you appreciate all, like, oh my gosh, I appreciate all the things. I didn't realize
he did all that.
I know, right? But then when you realize like, I can do this and you do it, you become so empowered. Oh my gosh, and just self-sufficient, and it's an incredible feeling.
Don't you feel that way when in the gym too? When you lift something you didn't think you could do?
Well, exactly. And so that goes into the gym, right? And it's another way to gain such like an empowerment.
And that's why I love like how you think the same as me is it. I want to shift how we view fitness, because I started by, like I said a second ago, of where like you exercise because you had carbs and pizza the night before, right? It's like, crap, I got to go burn that off. How many times do you hear a woman say, and I would say that, I have to go burn off what I just ate. I had a cheat meal. And I didn't like that it was like a punishment to go exercise. And so if I can at all change one thing, is shift that we view exercising as building. It is not meant, I do not enter the gym ever. Do I encourage anyone to enter a gym because you want to lose body fat? That's a byproduct that comes from eating, because it's our eating that got us where we are. I don't think I could have gone through a divorce and providing for my family and buying my house out if I didn't, this sounds cheesy, but if I didn't start my own physical journey a couple years ago, because I was so timid and dependent on him and fear-based. And over years, not weeks, but years, that confidence grows. And it's like, I would never have thought to start my own business.
Completely agree.
And no joke, it started with battling my own mind and demons and self-doubt in the gym.
Yes. Yeah, and exactly to tag on to what you just said is I firmly believe that everything starts in the gym. If you want to be disciplined in any area of your life, it starts in the gym, and it can start by going and picking up a heavy weight. And then over time realizing I can do hard things. I can do hard things. And that can all start in a gym.
Well, I was just going to say how amazing that is, how quickly like your life changed with your career, and what an inspiration for those thinking like, I'm stuck, you know, my body's not going to change, my job's not going to change. You know, it can, and very quickly, and it's believing in yourself. And,
right.
I heard the quote once, and this has resonated with me, and I realize there's certain things we can't change, certain health problems, right? But for some of the things I was going through was, what we don't change, we choose. And I related that to how I felt with my body, right? Of just, you have 4 kids and you look down and you're like, I don't recognize myself, right? And my clothing didn't fit the same it did even a year before. And I'd had a hard year. And so it was almost 20 pounds of body fat I had put on. And I just don't recognize yourself, right? And then even after having kids and they all went to school, and it was like, I don't have anyone at home. It was such an identity shift. What do I do? And I'm sure you guys have gone through that. And so it was just a matter of, I want to learn how to feel better. When I had made that determination of like, I gotta stay stuck. And I love that you use that word. That's a word I use all the time, which just kind of goes with that quote of like, on a lot of things, they're hard, they're scary. I had no idea how to lift weights, which is why it's so daunting. Women don't want to go in there, and I'm going to do it wrong.
Yeah.
No,
we start somewhere.
I'm still learning. Yeah, and I look around and I'm like, oh, that's where I started. Like, and then I'm sure someone looks at me and be like, oh, that girl's not doing that quite right. But we all understand that you're doing the best, and you're doing okay. You just show up. And if you want to learn how to do better, and that's why I started my app. Is I was so fortunate to have a couple people that I trained with, and then I paid as a coach myself to teach me exactly how to lift properly and brace and hold, so I could go heavier. Because I wanted to lift heavier weights, but I'm like, I don't feel confident in knowing how to do this. And then I realized not everybody has the people I have access to. So I was like, a girl actually once said, hey, I was doing one-on-one coaching because I was trying all kinds of things. I was like, no, not for me. Yep. And she told me, I want your arms one day. And I was like, whoa. Yeah. You do not want my arms. And she's like, what are you talking about? I do. No, you don't. these are my strongest version. I'm like 6 feet tall. You will never look like my arms. I'm this
Right.
tall, lanky thing. You're 5'2". Your arms are going to be even better than mine, right? To this girl, like, they're going to be amazing. You're going to have this great bicep peak. Like, find the strongest version of your arms. She's like, okay, reframe that. I get what you're saying. So then give me your workouts. And I was like, why haven't I thought of that? Like, it's worked. They're good workouts. I know they work. And so that's how the app started. I was like, oh, well, if I can help one woman find the strongest version of her body, I don't ever want someone to look like me. That's how I'll do it. And so there's strength workouts for home in the gym, because if we understand how to move the weight, it's all about how do you move the weight. And then hopefully that empowers them to then go into the gym or, start at home like where I did. Where do I go from being in the weakest woman alive with all the insecurities to like, my gosh, 5 years later, like I had the confidence to show up though.
Yeah, that's incredible. So real quick, just tell everyone what you were just in though. The magazine.
Oh, yeah. It's been twice now. Strong Fitness Magazine.
Strong Fit. That's incredible.
And it's crazy.
Like, so proud.
They reached out and said, hey, we saw it was a picture of like doing a 1-arm pull-up, which I mean, it's the same as a 2-arm, but it looks cool. So they were like, oh, can we use this? And it was like on a Rogue fitness machine. And it was just a fun picture that happened to capture something. And I was like, wait, you're talking to me?
Amazing.
Like what? There's no way. And so it's been fun of just like, I feel like I put limitations on myself before. And it was like, that kind of girl can do that. Right. I'm like, well, what's that kind of girl? Right? Because I feel like we all do that. Yep. And I just thought, similarly to how we talked about like, find the strongest version of you, right? I was like, well, okay, so what's the more confident version of me? Because we tell ourselves the same story. I was always stuck as I'm weak Jess. All 4 of my siblings played sports, college ball. I did nothing. I've never been an athlete. That is a story I told myself over and over and over and over. Yep. And you have to decide, like, I don't need to be her. I can be anything I want, even at mid-40s. Right. It's never too late to shift your story, but you have to change that. And it's crazy what we can do.
That's like beyond inspiring.
That's amazing.
It's beyond inspiring. And so as we're going into this new year, I know you talked a lot about steps and water and lifting weights or just getting into the gym. What is your best piece of advice to these ladies out here to just start that path?
You have to look at what you can do every week and adjust with manageable expectations. Like, give yourself realistic expectations of what you can do. Because there's some weeks, like, especially like if I have the kids longer, or if I don't have the kids as much, or if I'm traveling, or if I just honestly am in a bad, I still struggle being divorced. It's hard. It's emotional. Like, I'm alone. Like, there's weeks where I mentally can't do more. And so I look at the beginning of the week and I'm like, what can I do this week? What can I accomplish? Setting myself up, and give yourself flexibility. And so if you are good at 2 workouts a week, I want you to challenge yourself for 2025 for 3. Not 5. Even my program, like my gym program, is 5 workouts a week. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do all 5, right? If you're good at doing 2, you work on doing 3. If you're good at getting 30 grams of protein, you work on getting 40. That's it. If you have 50 ounces of water, work on getting 60, right? If you sleep 5 hours a night, work on 6 hours a night. If you want to reduce snacking and lose body fat, right? Go from 7 snacks to 6, go from 3 sodas to 2. But we have this all like, or some coaches like, give it all up, do all of these. Mm-hmm. We burn out. And so that's I give my clients like a habit journal. And so they're able to see all that they're doing wrong, right? In their eyes wrong, keeping them from getting their goals. Right. And I'm like, you pick 2 or 3 at most, and maybe even 1. And because it can be overwhelming, but it's not overwhelming seeing all that you need to change. It's hope. Because then it's like, if I were doing everything and still didn't feel, move and look how I wanted, that'd be depressing. Because it's like, I'm literally doing everything. Right. But you're going to find 15 things to change and then pick 1 or 2. And then you have an action plan for that week to focus on how to do 10 more grams of protein. Now you look back and you're like, holy crap, like all those steps actually add up. Yep. It's not just a quote card. Right. It actually works. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Amazing. And we are going to drop the link so they can access your app. Well, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's and so $7 for your first month. 7? Yeah, you get customized macros and meal plans. Amazing.
You can do that. That's like a trip to Starbucks, ladies. Exactly. Come on.
Just don't go to Starbucks one day and you can get her app and she'll help you.
It is. It's not a money issue. It never is. It could be $5,000. It's not a money issue. Mm-hmm. It's, do I believe in myself and know to stay consistent? And so I have like 15, 20-minute HIIT cardio workouts that I do with you. So like if you don't want to start with strength training, you start with a HIIT cardio workouts, right? And then you can do a shorter version or a longer version. And so it's just believing in yourself, knowing that I can do a little bit of something.
Amazing. I love it. And then also, we'll drop the link for, do you have the link yet for your new coaching program?
Yeah. We'll be able to find all of that. I'll get that to you. Okay. And it's mostly just wanting to take that same thing of feeling stuck, right? You feel stuck with your body, you feel stuck in your business, you feel stuck on your Instagram growth. And it's not how to go viral, but it's how to understand who your target audience is, because we think we know, but with the deep dive I give you, it's like an 8-hour course, is all the aha moments. Because I want you to feel empowered with your body and how you feel, and I want you to feel empowered in your business, because then you can go and help everybody. It's not a health and nutrition, like I help everybody. It's any business that wants to grow. So.
Well, that's what I'm going to do then.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to
it's
buy your
really
program.
fun. Yeah,
So
and
I
it's
can
not
grow
expensive. It's
my
just
social.
It's just an 8-week course that give you content calendars and set you up to guide you through, like, just setting you up the same way I would as like a lifestyle change. It's like, it's understanding how it works by lots of testing, just as we test our bodies of how to get ourselves where we want to be. So
Absolutely. Very good. Well, we could have gone on for another hour.
Yes, we'll have to
Clearly.
have you back.
Like, there's
Lots
like
to
so
talk
many
about.
other topics that I wanted to talk about, but we will have you back for sure.
thanks,
But
guys.
thank you so much for tuning in to It's Beauty Binge. And again, we are going to drop all of the links and descriptions below so you can find Jess and follow her and all the amazing things she's doing. And until next time.
Bye.